Welcome to WO50, Women Over 50 in Body Wisdom and Wellness.
Yep, that's us. We're women over 50. I'm Corrine and I'm with my BFF, Eddi. And today our topic was the quest for happiness. And then the byline that you came up with was the research or the me search.
Research. Yep. And then it was the B search.
Just be.
Just be. Yeah.
Yeah, we had a good conversation about what happiness is, where it comes from, how to find it. Do you find it, or is it already innately within you? You have to listen to find out.
We have lots of little tidbits. Mm-hmm. Come listen in.
Hope you enjoy it. Hello, my BFF.
Hello, my BFF. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's starting to have cooler nights here in Nashville. And so I've got the window open the last few nights. It's been amazing.
Great. All the things that make us happy.
Which is our topic today, you sly dog, you.
Yeah.
The quest for happiness.
Research. Remember? It's
Yep.
research or me search.
Yeah, I love that. You texted me that today and I was like, you're so good at titles.
I love little quirky things,
words, playing with
Isms.
words. Yeah. Your Eddy-isms. So is it, we're researching on happiness. It's really the me search on happiness, which leads into what we're going to talk about really about happiness. Because some people, I know it's so funny because words have different meanings for different people. I have this conversation with my roommate all the time because she's very smart. She's a word girl. She doesn't like the word happiness at all because in her mind, happiness just means something on the outside that a new car makes you happy or a person makes you happy. She doesn't consider that happiness comes from within. Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead. No, well, it's happiness is the sense, though. It's that sense of contentment or joy.
Well, that's your definition. Right? That's why I want to define it first. Okay.
Yeah.
So her definition, which I respect, is something on the outside, which is many people's definition. Mm-hmm. What we're talking about today, why we love the word research and me search, is the joy you feel that I would say is your inherent nature, but it gets covered up by yearning, judgments, thoughts, feelings, expectations, longing, envy, all of it.
The happiness killer, right? Envy.
What's that sound again?
That's the little sound, if we would do cartoons or Disney or something, that's the envy sound.
Oh, that's great. I love it. Yeah. So what's been can you want to share maybe a little bit about your journey on happiness, what your journey for happiness has been?
It wasn't what would make me happy. Like I wasn't a happiness seeker. I actually every day I really did try to find something that gave me joy. I just felt like my days were pretty happy. I think, and also, I remember saying to you, I had this gut check done. Remember, I think one of our podcasts, we talked about it. And I had the a lot of serotonin being released in my gut, which was a hormone that kind of gives you the happiness feeling. Mm-hmm. So it helps with oxytocin and dopamine and all that. Mm. So, yeah, that's.
So you've never struggled with depression?
No, not really. I haven't. I mean, I've had some sad moments. But it didn't last very long. It moved in, it moved out. So my constant state of well-being has been pretty joyful. Now I've had my struggles in childhood or teenage years or as an adult, but it never, if I was to reflect on my life, I wouldn't say it had a lot of unhappy times.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah, agree with that. Yeah. Okay. Good.
Looking from the outside, looking in, I would agree. Because I think it's natural for us all to have challenges, and That's why I don't love the word depression, but to have melancholy moments, to have very challenging moments. You and I both been divorced, and that's very
Mhm.
sad and challenging. But you've never spiraled into depression as many people have in the world, and he seems to be a huge problem now.
Well, yes,
Um,
because
yeah,
I've always felt like struggles were just part of it. It's just, from a very young age, I just felt, if you're struggling, then wow, when you're not struggling anymore, there's happiness.
yeah,
There's that beautiful feeling that whatever that is, because it's different for everybody. Don't you think that
yeah.
the feeling of joy, contentment, or the situations, right? The variables that, allow happiness to seep in.
Right. So that's the thing that I see. I see, and I think it's definitely is connected to the brain. I think there are some of us that are very blessed and wired to be naturally happy. Like I don't know how much serotonin I have, but because I haven't done the test yet, but I know that I am blessed with a very positive mind.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so, because I work with many people that aren't blessed with a positive mind, or that tend towards depression, or tend towards, being stuck, or whatever it is. And so, what I it found in my seeking, so I never struggled with depression, but I did struggle with a deep sense of loneliness my whole life, and my whole life until I, found meditation and stuff. So, 20s, 30s. And I also struggled with a deep sense of yearning for something bigger and something more. And that kind of leads us into that book we were talking about before we got on
Mm-hmm.
the podcast today. Eddie had
Yeah.
texted me this morning. I said, can you come up with a title? She texted me all these titles. I'm like, well, which one do you want? So we settled on The Quest for Happiness. And so then I was, listening to Tim Ferriss today, who I love. And there was this author talking about happiness. And I was like, oh, this will be a good one for today, research for our podcast. And so there's this professor from Harvard talking about, he wrote a book with on happiness with Oprah. And he does a course at Harvard on happiness. And so
Mm.
I'm telling this to Eddie, and she goes, yeah, I wrote down his name, Arthur, what is it?
Arthur
Arthur
Brooks,
Brooks. I'm like, yeah,
him
that's what I
and
listened to.
yeah,
And
yeah,
we both
himself.
came up. Go ahead.
Yeah, him and Oprah just wrote that book. Build the life you want. I think is it's called just this year, is 2023. Um, yeah. So it's interesting because there's so many articles on happiness and books, and every corner you turn and every bookshelf and magazine, and everyone's talking about happiness, how
Yeah.
to find it, how do you be happy, what makes you happy.
Because I think that what I'm loving is that the culture, the world culture, and the conversation and podcasts and books is changing. So I've said this before on the podcast, that it's starting to be part of the conversation that you're not your thoughts. I don't think people really fully understand that yet, but at least it's starting to be part of the conversation, which it never was before. And then this happiness thing too, because we're basically been hijacked by our egos. So we've been
Mhm.
hijacked by, and of course, social media marketing, not just social media, because it was here way before any commercial that you've ever watched on television. Like, there are these experts that are trying to get like push your dopamine receptors. Like, you'll be better if you buy, you'll look better, and people will like you if you have these sunglasses. And no matter how aware you are, there's still a conditioning. Like, your brain is wired to like familiarity. So if you see a body that's this weight and this shape enough, that's what your brain will like, because it likes familiarity. I saw this show years ago where they were showing the problem with criminal lineups is because white people can recognize white faces much better. But if you throw Asian or Black person or something like a different nationality in there, we don't recognize their distinction in their faces as much. And they're the same thing. An Asian person can't
Mm.
see the distinctive features because it's not as familiar.
Mhm.
So our brain is very interesting, and how we're wired. And of course, one of my favorite books that I'll put a link in is the Dopamine Nation. That's really great on how we are hardwired for satisfaction, not satisfaction, for pleasure.
Pleasure.
And we're
Mm-hmm.
seeking satisfaction because we're biological beings, but we're much more than biological beings. So I think it's starting to be part of the conversation now that things on the outside aren't going to bring us happiness.
Yeah, I agree. And I did love that book, The Dopamine Nation, and
Yeah.
everything is a hit, even the sugar or whatever, even
Turning on
social
your phone,
media. Yeah, even
getting a
social media.
text.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we check our phones so often, because it's a
Yep.
dopamine hit. It's a chemical release
Yes.
in your brain. Seeing the red dot, somebody's got a
Mhm.
message for me.
Yes, and then it creates an joy, and then when you read it and it's not so joyful, it ruins your day.
Yeah.
And
Or ruins
Arthur
the
Brooks
moment. Hopefully doesn't
ruins
ruin
the
your day.
moment. Well, it can ruin the day too if they
For
stay
some
on.
people. Yeah.
For some people, they just stay on just reading this information. And Arthur Brooks, I loved it when he was speaking to Oprah. He said, social media, when someone gets on there, is just a snapshot of somebody's life,
Mm-hmm.
and that's going to affect you immediately. It's just a snapshot, but we get kind of hooked into that and wanting more of it, but that's not what
Oh, I
makes us
can't.
happy.
Yeah.
Fame, doesn't make you happy. It can. It's the seeking.
It's the temporary. Okay. So what we're looking for, the distinction is lasting happiness.
That's right.
So fame might give somebody temporary pleasure
Mm-hmm.
and even temporary happiness, but that's very temporary. What we're looking for and what we're distinguishing is lasting happiness. What will give us lasting happiness? And so really, and really, our nature is that.
Mm-hmm.
All you have to do is look at a baby to realize that a baby, when we look at a baby, we giggle and we feel joy. And
Mm-hmm.
why do we do that? Everybody loves a baby or a puppy or a baby animal or something. It's like
Yeah.
there's really nothing there other than innocence and
Yeah.
newness. Like
Yeah.
they're not
It's so. Oh,
corrupted
it's
yet or have the program yet.
Oh, it's so beautiful. It's funny you said that because I saw one of my patients yesterday and she just had twins. And she said, "Can you tell them apart?" And I'm like, "Well, the one little one looking straight at me, I was like, that has to be Anna because her eyes were, and I'll never forget, I'll always be able to distinguish between the two of them. But all I did, I was like gooing and gahing. And I was like, oh my God. Your voice changes with little babies and they're smiling. You'll do anything. You're totally unaware of everyone around you. And you're just making a scene of yourself, but you're just captivated with this baby, both these babies.
Yeah.
And it's so beautiful. And I mean, just thinking back to it yesterday warms my heart, like they're so sweet. So that was joy, contentment, seeing friends, that creates happiness, having meaning in your life with your friends and family. And those are lasting happiness. That's
Well, the thing is, what I want to distinguish, because friends and family aren't lasting happiness because they can have moods and they come and go.
well, that's
It's
true.
the feeling that you get. It's okay. This is a good
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah.
I love this conversation.
Yeah.
So it's the feeling that you get when you have the connection. But what you have to realize is it's not them. It's a feeling that it invokes that is already within you. So it's
Yes.
not the extreme. A better example might be like an extreme sport or traveling or something that people obviously think is something outside of themselves.
Mhm.
And it's not the extreme sport that they get addicted to and why they love it so much. It's the feeling they're present in the moment. When
Yeah.
you're jumping off a cliff and you've got to pull a parachute or a kite behind you, you're not thinking about how much it cost you. You're thinking about the being present in the moment, because and that's what the joy is being present. And that's what happens when we're with people we love. We're not thinking about our bills or our bad conversations we've had. We're just fully present in joy. And that's what you were with what you described beautifully with the babies. You were oblivious to everything else. You were just
Yeah.
fully present. So
Yeah.
that's the big you know, and I'm not saying that we don't go do all that. It's just that it's already within us. And once you understand that, because people don't believe it when I first tell them that. But then
Mm,
when I give them more examples and they still don't believe it, and then once they start down this journey, to this self-awareness and meditation, maybe if that works for me, and mindfulness, and
mhm.
then they can get that feeling just by being in the garden or in nature or walking by themselves.
Or doing a random act of kindness, right? It just creates that sense of well-being, that in the moment, the living in the moment, which we always kind
Talk
of go
about.
back to.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So there is, in this guy did, he's done all this research and stuff, and he did say the recipe for happiness is enjoyment, satisfaction, and meaning.
Mhm.
So we've kind of talked about those three, and we do the meaning part is big because we have to have something that's, and this works for atheists too. We have to have something that is bigger than ourselves
Hmm.
to have meaning. And that's why people find meaning in, spirituality. There's many people that don't like to call it that, and they get just as much meaning in nature. They get, I guess maybe awe is a better word. When you feel full of awe and you have
Mhm.
no words for something and your heart is full, watching a sunset, watching a sunrise, seeing a baby, that's, what some people get from going to church or meditating or all these different things. But meaning, finding meaning, and it's kind of our minds that do create the meaning, but that's okay.
Mhm.
It's it's people that are depressed, usually they've lost their hope and their meaning in life,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah, and sometimes with church or prayer, or it's often fellowship and community and connection, and sometimes it's music. Sometimes it's, they're feeling the music or feeling the words of something they're singing, because everybody has a different meaning sometimes towards those words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, music is a good one too. It's interesting
Hmm.
because as since this is W050, it's the topic that because I work with young people too, but I also work with plenty of people that are, our age and older. And there is this theme of finding meaning and purpose when we're retired, when we're not sort of in the workforce anymore. And that's kind of a big, I've helped many people over the years with that. And I know you have as well.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, it's like the title of that book, Build the Life You Want. This is what first of all, you got to figure out, what do you want? So now that you're retired, some people go, I don't know who I am anymore without that label. So okay, so lay that label down, because there's always a little story around things, or there's information that we have. And
What
instead of waiting for something to change, we can change it. We can, some people want to paint, or they want to just sit within and hear the answer in the silence, just sit within themselves and go, when do I feel that feeling? What does happiness feel like? I feel the contentment with, because a lot of times when I make suggestions to people, and they go, I need to find some purpose, I need, or they will talk about being depressed or lonely or sad, and then we start filling up the toolbox with different things. But our topic is the happiness, right? Or as your t-shirts say, you are the happiness you seek.
Actually, the t-shirts say happiness is an inside job.
Well,
But I
they
love that
should
you are
say
the
that you are.
you
Well, I just made up a new t-shirt for you, but
did. I love
just let me finish. Then she has another t-shirt that says happiness is an inside job. Yeah. Or we could do even further. Be the change you want to see in the world. Oh, yeah, that's Gandhi. That's gone already. That's gone.
Mm,
Okay.
it's all
Yeah.
good. There's nothing new under
All
the
good.
sun.
There's not. There's
Yeah.
nothing new. No, no. You're the
So I think where
no.
we're headed to is just inquiring. I don't love the question, what is it that you want? But I'm not
Well,
saying it's wrong.
well, maybe it's emotional self-management.
that's a new one, isn't it? Let's
Yeah.
unpack that. What does that
Yeah.
mean?
Well, how you would manage. So just take, let's break down every word: emotional self management. So only you know your emotions. How are you going to manage them? How, when happiness does come in, oh, how do you recognize that? So even if it's painting, and because I love to paint, and I don't paint every single day, but I, go down and I explore and I try something different. And sometimes I just get this overwhelming feeling of joy. And I'm just like, wow, I love that. That's really nice. And then I start adding more and more to it, and then I ruin it. I should have stopped while I had that feeling.
Right, right. Yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's that inquiry process of, you know, what, and by inquiry I just mean just asking yourself, because we come to conclusions with things. Like we come to conclusions when we have conversations with people. We came to conclusions in our past with our childhood, with our siblings. We have conclusions about how they feel about us and how we are. We have a lot of assumptions and stuff that we created in our mind, and so breaking those down, and figuring out what's real, because ultimately the happiness that you seek is here already. And then the painting is an expression of that. Giggling like a child when you see a child is an expression of that. Laughing with your best friend or your sister, your brother is an expression of that. It's not those connections, even those connections are natural and they're awesome, but to know that you have that, even if you're not connecting with someone, you
Mhm.
have that inside you already. Because what happens is people get in their head, oh, I'm lonely. I mean, that was my thing, right? I was so lonely, and I would read all these books, and I remember I had this big aha when I this is years ago, when it said alone, if you just add another L, it's all one,
Hmm.
you know? And I
Yeah.
remember it was like, I know we're all one, but I don't feel that. I'm lonely. And it
Yeah.
was, but I kept inquiring and meditating, and failed relationship after failed relationship in my
Mhm.
20s, realizing that it wasn't a relationship that was going to make me happy, because I wasn't even happy in relationship, definitely not happy after. And that's what it helped me. I inquired, like, what is it? And then I finally, when I started meditating, found it in myself. And then, with music and all that, was just an expression, a natural expression, teaching yoga, whatever it is, and a natural expression of what's already there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. It takes a lifetime, doesn't it? That's why over 50 now, and we, hitting 60, and we go, wow, when we look back at the experiences and even the struggles, if you didn't have any struggles, you wouldn't feel the joy. Like that's the thing. There's happy, unhappy. There's this bucket load of emotions, they're like house guests coming in, and we want the feel good ones to stay and hang out longer, but often they don't,
Well,
you
that's
know?
actually what can cause unhappiness, is that expectation that life is supposed to be fun all the time and
Yeah.
happy all the time. And the thing is there is an innate happiness that's even there in sadness. Now, that takes some coaching to try to find that. I have found that, but it has taken me 40 years to be able to
Mhm.
access that in the midst of tears and things like that. But life is, yes, it's a wonderful point. Life is all of it. And the discomfort and pain comes from the resistance of the different things happening in our life. That's one of the things I teach people every day. It's like they want, we want, as human beings, I don't know why we want, we think that good things are going to make us happy all the time. My biggest example is we don't go to a movie that we've already seen, or we don't read the end of the book, or some people do, but then they don't enjoy the book as much.
Yeah.
We don't really want to know. We don't really, and we won't read a book that is all happy with no protagonist and nothing big plot that has the negativity and stuff. We don't want a fairy tale without the monster.
Yeah.
We won't go see a movie if it's all happy. Or watch a series on TV. So why do we think our life is going to be like that we'd like it more? So it's really about, yeah, getting comfortable with the discomfort. And I think that's what death teaches us. It's like it's such a natural part of life,
Oh
whether it's
yeah.
the death of a pet, or
Yeah.
as we get older, the death of our parents,
Mm-hmm.
or the untimely death of a friend or coworker. It's like
Yeah.
it's a very natural part of life. And we're not here for that long.
Yeah.
It's such gratitude is a big recipe for happiness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I always say happiness is like the secret sauce. It's the secret sauce.
Yeah.
I remember at my dad's funeral, I have quite a funny family, and he was a very funny man. And we had moments where we were laughing so hard at stories that people were telling. Like, here's dad, waking there, right? A Catholic funeral. And we're all laughing, and then the guilt of laughing, and then we're crying, and then that feeling. And it's just it should be a celebration of life, is what it is. You're enjoying the stories and the experiences, and then you're in the emotional turmoil of it all. And there's moments where there's such peace and contentment and joy and happiness, and you're at a funeral. It's like, what? What? But allowing it is fine. People go, oh my God, we shouldn't be laughing. I was like, well, why not? Why
It's
not?
all the feelings.
Just, it's good to feel. We can cry then we'll go over here and we'll cry all day long, or for 15 minutes, however long you want to cry for. Yeah. Often it's said laughter is the best medicine, remember? Years ago.
Oh my gosh. I
We
remember
have laughed so many times so hard. Oh my goodness, it's terrible. People, when they see the two of us together, and then we laugh, and not terrible in a bad way, terrible in a great way. Because we laugh so hard, we start coughing, that your lungs are shook up, and it's a major detox. It's great. It's like cleansing, and I don't know, it's awesome. I
Yeah, I
think.
remember I had some health challenges about 6, 7 years ago, and I knew that I had to get to see you in Newfoundland. And it was so healing because the laughter, it was just, you make me laugh so hard. It was just so amazing.
Well, that's what we relate happiness with too often, is laughing, right? We go, oh, but that's an expression, you know. When you're laughing, it's like, how are you feeling now inside? What is that feeling? What is that feeling? It's like, and then what is that walk in nature? What is that feeling? You know, call it whatever you want. Just even that feeling.
Yeah.
It's That's what we want to tap into. What are you feeling?
Well, all those examples that you're giving, laughing, walking in nature, oohing and gooing at a baby, there's no thinking
Puppies.
happening.
No,
There's
no,
just
no thinking.
being, and there's just experiencing. There's just experiencing the moment.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Experiencing the moment, enjoying friendships. And then as we get ready to head on a trip somewhere, a friend says, oh, you can cross that off your bucket list. And I went, gee, I don't have a bucket list. I must ask Ken if she has a bucket list. And you don't have a
Yeah.
bucket list.
No, neither one of us has a bucket list. In fact, this is one of the things that this author said in this talk with Tim Ferriss. He calls it the reverse bucket list. And he said, because there's a lot of people that have goals and bucket lists, with which there's nothing wrong with that. But his concept of the reverse bucket list, he said, because you might have a goal that you're after your whole life and you might not ever get it. And so it's like this longing in the back of your brain. So he says, write down a goal or a bucket, something on your bucket list, and then cross it out and forget about it. So that's what he says will help with the attachment of it. Because then if it happens, you're happy about it. It's not that you don't still go for it, it's you're not as attached to it. So
Yes.
you and I have done quite well with that because we don't have a bucket list at all.
No. But boy, if I started one, I got a lot done. When I think back, what would I put in my bucket list? Oh, yeah, I've done that. I've done that. That's cool. That's cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Not that we haven't done a lot in our lives because we
Yes.
have,
Yes. One day we'll
everybody.
review it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Our big moments and life-changing moments and yeah, all those things. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
I
really about welcoming all of the experience of life, not staying out of your head with things because the head can get you in trouble. Just feeling into the moment and allowing things to flow through you. And if you need help from a friend or a podcast or a life coach or a doctor or a therapist to help you with that, to kind of go with, help you to be able to roll with life and roll with the things that happen and not get stuck, because that's what I see mostly is people getting stuck with things and their opinions and their attitudes and their expectations. And it's really, life is going to happen whether you plan it or not. Life is going to happen. It's kind of like, oh, I love this visual actually. It's like of someone, life is like jumping out of a plane and not, before you um, pull the parachute. So when you jump out of a plane and you're free falling, you can go like this and go, and really enjoy it. Or you can go like this and grasp and at the air at nothing. And some people that are grasping at the air and they're fighting everything and doing, or are you going to free fall through it? And then eventually, you can pull your chute. But yeah, that's the visual that I love, is just kind of, rolling with life as it happens. And it doesn't mean you're looking for all pleasurable experiences. It doesn't mean that you're not looking for it. It's that you're accepting life as it comes to you.
Yeah. Well, look at what happened during COVID. A lot of things shifted and changed. And, during that time for me, I decided to enroll at Yale and study the psychology of well being. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And and there was a huge segment on happiness, like what to do day to day, just with happiness. And it was, and now it's coming into my head. And it was, if you're not happy, okay, you got COVID or you're in the midst of it and you can't get out and you can't get, because we got cold and flu season coming up soon again. And we're going to go through some of the same type of things, being isolated and, hopefully not like the extreme it was during COVID. But what do you do when you're searching, you're on the quest for happiness? So if you're not having the best day, I one of these things that stuck really well with me was just go out and do a random act of kindness. Just 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 go do something random. Pay for the person's coffee in the line behind you, or or go and get something you love. You love the flavor of, and savor it. Savor it for as long as you can. Just in that moment, right? And there was a bunch, of little things like that, the gratitude, or make a phone call, or volunteer, or yeah, go visit somebody who has a baby or a puppy. Like there's a bunch of things, but we have to do them. We can't wait for someone else to come along to make us happy,
Mm-hmm.
or something to make us happy. I'll retire, then I'll be happy. Because a lot of times people find out they retire and then they got to take care of elderly parents or grandkids or their health or somebody else's health or their partners, or, the list goes on. So happiness is within. You find those moments, right?
Do you know the mechanics of why all those things you listed work?
Tell
Because
me.
it takes people out of themselves.
Yes.
People are sad when they're self absorbed and thinking about all the things going wrong in their life.
Mhm.
And so, as soon as you help somebody else, you're seeing with gratitude how lucky you are, and it makes you feel good to
Mhm.
help somebody else. as soon as you savor something, you're getting out of your head. You right? And all the antidote to all of those things is get out of your head, whatever. Go jump out of a plane. That'll get you out of your head really quick.
So yeah, really quick. It'll get you in the moment. But instead of, like we said at the beginning, the me search, we'll change it and we'll call it just be search.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Learn to be.
Learn to be with
Mm-hmm.
nothing else. No, learn to
Nothing
be
else.
happy, learn to be grateful, learn to be.
Learn to be and accept it and feel into it, whatever that emotion is. And if there's the days going too long without happiness, or the week's gone and nothing's been joyful, or you haven't felt it, then we got to dig deep and go, okay, hang on, let me get to my tools. Let me just do something for somebody else. And let me just go back to that list again. And then get that feeling again. Get that happiness, the secret sauce.
It's not the thing. It's the what it's accessing within you. I tell
Yes.
people even to watch a funny movie and laugh a little bit. It's
Yes.
not the funny movie. It's the laughter and the fact that you're not thinking about all the crap that was in your head before when you're
Yes.
laughing.
Yes. Yes. It's not what's going to make you happy.
It's
'Cause
what will invoke the happiness that's already within you.
It's a wellspring.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Mm.
We could have ended the podcast a couple minutes ago with the B part, because we usually do end with the B part. But that was a deep dive, Ed. I really enjoyed that. That's it's my favorite conversation, happiness. And
Me too.
yeah.
I love that we're such good friends. It makes me happy.
But I don't make you happy.
No.
It invokes the happiness that's already within you.
Exactly. There it is.
And
It's
when
an
we go to
inside.
Yeah, that's right. And when we go to Sicily, it's not the trip to Sicily that's making us happy, even though we're going to enjoy the heck out of it.
It's the food.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much for coming up with the topic today and the title. It was really great.
It was fun. Thanks. Thanks for being you, and thank you to everyone for listening.
Yeah.
Until we meet again,
Be
happy,
be
kind.
be